We're kicking off today with AJ Styles, who's been off WWE TV ever since the October 4th SmackDown, where he suffered a foot injury during his match with Carmelo Hayes. Styles was seen limping, and his match had to be ruled a no contest, and after speculation by shocked fans, WWE later confirmed that the injury was real. Styles himself shared that he was dealing with a Lisfranc injury, and on Twitter gave a gruesome recollection of dealing with the injury at the time. He wrote, "It's called a Lisfranc injury. Look it up, it sucks. I thought when I took off my boot I would have a bone sticking out of my foot." The injury affects the bones and ligaments in the middle of the foot and affects athletes of multiple sports, including ending the season of NFL star Cam Winston. When a fan replied saying the injury was like Winston's, Styles agreed, saying, "Bingo, as the kids say, I'm cooked." According to sources, Styles had been gearing up for a major farewell storyline before the injury derailed his plans, but WWE is keeping very quiet on the former world champion. WrestleVotes reports that since the injury in October, they haven't heard a word about Styles, adding that it's very strange and that WWE is keeping it quiet all the way round. Fans are awaiting updates on Styles, whose injury came the same night that he returned from several months off TV, and his future with WWE remains uncertain. While the fans are hopeful AJ will bounce back from this, it's not impossible that this could mark the end of an iconic wrestling career, especially as Styles was preparing to say farewell. What's your take on AJ Styles' injury and WWE's silence? Drop your thoughts and send your support for the phenomenal one in the comments below. More injury news as Jimmy Uso and Bronson Reed both suffered injuries during last month's War Games match, and now we have an update on both superstars. WrestleVotes Radio reports that Jimmy's broken toe suffered during the Uso splash won't keep him out for long, and he's expected to return to action in January. On the post-show press conference, Jey Uso shared that Jimmy had remained in good spirits despite the injury, as he and his wife Naomi celebrated the Glow's birthday. As for Reed, he suffered a serious ankle injury during his dive from the top of the War Games cage, and the report adds that WWE are targeting for a May return, though it could be June. The report noted that Adam Cole's broken ankle injury suffered last year cost him close to a year of action, and while Reed's is a different kind of injury, he will indeed be out for months. This is a huge setback for Reed, who's been rising the ranks on Raw, and what do you make of all this? Share your thoughts and feedback down in the comments. On this week's Raw, Zelina Vega was eliminated from the Women's Intercontinental title tournament, and fans were left puzzled when she waved goodbye. Some fans speculated that Vega was waving goodbye as her time with WWE is coming to an end following her loss in a triple threat, which included Lyra Valkyria and Ivy Nile. PW Insider has since clarified that Vega is still under contract and will be for several more years, shutting down any talk of her wrapping up with WWE. Vega got the loudest pop of all three competitors on Raw, and her elimination spawned a backlash, with the hashtag #PushZelina trending shortly after the match. Fans voiced their frustration with what they see as a lack of opportunities for Vega, with WWE's YouTube video of the match also flooded with more criticism. Fans were more negative about Vega losing than they were about Valkyria's win and advancement to the next round, a sign of how much support Zelina has. Vega has shown incredible potential in WWE, but has often been stuck in mid-card angles or as a valet for the LWO, leaving fans eager to see her hold championship gold. Those tensions clearly boiled over among fans this past Monday, as fans are ready to see Vega get a chance to shine as a champion even after her elimination. As for waving goodbyes, Vega isn't going anywhere. Time will tell if WWE chooses to capitalize on her popularity and fan demand for a push. On this week's NXT, the women's division was on full display, as the show was headlined by Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade taking on Kalani Jordan and Julia. It's no secret that CM Punk has been keeping an eye on what's been going on in NXT, and this week he showed his support for the women in the main event. On Instagram stories, Punk posted a photo of the match with the caption, "The kids are alright," and paired the image with the Who track of the same name. Punk's relationship with Perez and Jade goes back years, and both women have cited Punk and his wife AJ Lee as being inspirations for their own wrestling careers. CM Punk has appeared several times for NXT and is keeping a close eye on things, and until he appears again, he's pleased to see the show in good hands thanks to the women's division. At Saturday night's main event, Cody Rhodes will defend the undisputed WWE Championship against Kevin Owens in a show that'll be full of retro throwbacks. Now fans may have been teased with another blast from the past, as in a video shared on social media, Triple H unveiled a golden box to Rhodes, adding that it's for one night only. Fans immediately speculated that this could be the return of the iconic Winged Eagle title design, a design that Cody has been vocal about wanting to bring back as champion. The title was held by hulking stars like Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, as well as smaller, more technically sound stars later on, including Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Whether Rhodes is the next man to hold this title, we'll have to wait until this Saturday to know, but if so, it'll certainly be a throwback fitting of Saturday night's main event. Are you excited at the potential return of the Winged Eagle title? Share your thoughts in the comments below. There's been an update in the Janelle Grant lawsuit now, as there had been a stay in the litigation, but that period of time has come to an end. This week, the 6-month stay in Grant's suit against Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE expired, and the suit had been stayed while the DOJ investigated McMahon. In a statement, Ann Callis, Grant's attorney, said they are pleased that the stay has ended and expects to bring forward new evidence supporting Grant's claim of sexual exploitation. Callis added that Grant has waited patiently for the DOJ to finish its investigation, and now both are looking forward to taking this lawsuit further. Grant has alleged that she was sexually abused by McMahon and trafficked to others in WWE, and we'll continue to follow this case for updates now that this stay period has come to an end. In AEW, Sting served as a mentor for Darby Allin, but now the risk-taking former TNT champion is ready to serve as a mentor himself to a young name in pro wrestling. In an interview with Flickering Myth, Allin shared that he's been mentoring a young man from Paducah, Kentucky, saying the kid showed up to a Halloween party of his and never left. Allin has embraced the situation, sharing that the young man now lives in the school bus in his backyard and is training to be a pro wrestler, while Allin also wants to build his confidence. Whether we see this young wrestler in training join Allin in AEW, that remains to be seen, but the popular AEW star can now add trainer and mentor to his many accolades. Over to Dynamite, Winter is Coming, which opened with Jon Moxley and Pac arriving to take on Orange Cassidy and Jay White, and as expected, Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir were close. Pac and Moxley tried to get the early advantage, but Cassidy warned White in time to thwart the attack, and they fought on the opposite sides of the ring and had the Death Riders reeling. Once the match started, Pac and White battled in the ring, and while tags were observed, the ref did little when somebody was in or out of the ring for too long. Moxley and Pac asserted dominance by isolating Cassidy during the break, including Moxley whipping OC into the steel steps in a particularly nasty spot. When White tagged in, he was subject to the same treatment, and in this match, it became apparent that the super kick is now less effective than a standard clothesline. There was a hilarious spot when White served some trash talk to Moxley seconds before he ran into a big boot from Pac, but the faces continued to battle from underneath. When it looked like Cassidy had Moxley beat, Hangman Page arrived to attack the AEW World Champion, and the Cowboy and Cassidy started trading blows. White took an accidental orange punch and responded with a Blade Runner, leaving Page, Cassidy, and White down as the Death Riders regrouped. They went back into the ring and attacked all three men once they'd gone back to arguing, and while this was an entertaining story, it was just an average tag team match. Nothing surprising was seen, but what we did see looked good, and while DQ finishes are rarely ideal, this worked as it showed how AEW's faithful are not on the same page like Moxley's group. After a backstage segment with the Death Riders, Christian Cage expressed his displeasure with the AEW World Title situation, only to be ambushed in his skybox by Hook. The former FTW champion beat him down and was poised to throw the leader of the Patriarchy off the balcony until Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian showed up to make the save. Our next match saw Claudio Castagnoli take on Will Ospreay in the Continental Classic, with 3 coveted points for the pair, who both had to go into this without any ringside support. Excalibur mistakenly called this a first-time match, but later corrected himself, and the match opened with Ospreay hitting a Spanish Fly into a 2 count. Claudio responded to an Os Cutter with an uppercut to start an exchange of takedowns and counters in a meeting of 2 of AEW's most gifted athletes, albeit in different ways. Castagnoli has the power of someone twice his size, while Ospreay boasts the agility of someone half his size, as seen with his incredible standing corkscrew splash. The X factor the pair share is having extreme precision, so just about every move of this match looked great, and it'd be difficult to recap every single move given how many happened. It's doubtful you'll see a more action-packed match this week on any other show, and in the end, Ospreay hit a jackknife pinning combo to earn another 3 points. Sore loser Castagnoli hit his finisher after the match, but Darby Allin chased him away with a baseball bat before further damage could be done. But what do you think of this match? Was Ospreay the right person to win and earn 3 points in the Gold League? Let us know in the comments. Ahead of his match with Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly was seen having a conversation with Mike Bennett and Matt Taven, and showed O'Reilly was taking things seriously. Bennett said that whatever happened, they'd always be family, but KOR said that he should have thought of that before one of their brothers, namely Roderick Strong, got hurt. MJF was seen arriving at the arena ahead of Adam Cole vs. Kyle O'Reilly, which would determine who challenges for the Dynamite Diamond Ring at World's End. Cole's offered handshake was refused by O'Reilly before they locked up, and the former allies kept it technical at first, with holds and takedowns before Cole attempted a strike. O'Reilly avoided the kick and escaped outside the ring, and Cole avoided a roundhouse kick the same way, showing how well the pair know one another. This time though, O'Reilly followed him out of the ring and floored him with a combo, and this would be a solid back and forth showing the pair's chemistry. That being said, it felt like they were holding back, as these two could steal the show if they wanted, but with neither man as the clear heel, they had to avoid a lot of wrestling tropes. It wasn't until the last few minutes when the pair were running on all cylinders, and when the official was checking on O'Reilly, MJF showed up and attempted to interfere. Cole kicked him off the apron and won with an inside cradle. And are you excited to see MJF vs. Cole at World's End? Let us know in the comments. At Survivor Series War Games, Nia Jax's team came up short in the women's War Games match, and Jax's performance inside the structure saw particular criticism from fans. Many fans called out Jax using a steel chair, which seriously lacked impact, while others noted that her movements in the match seemed slower than expected. Even Rikishi weighed in on Jax's performance, accusing the women's champion of being too nice in the match and saying she needed to swing that damn thing like Babe Ruth. Jax had responded to some criticism, but it appears to have overwhelmed the irresistible force, who has since deactivated her Twitter account. Jax has improved considerably in her year back with WWE, but this performance left a lot to be desired, and the women's champion is taking a break from the criticism on social media. Do you think Jax is right to deactivate her account, or should fans be more mindful of their feedback, especially weeks after the match? Let us know in the comments. Now, WWE is no stranger to making huge business deals, and this week the company's former production building on Hamilton Avenue in Stamford was officially sold. V20 Group, which already owns several commercial, industrial, and residential properties in the area, have acquired the property for the sum of nearly $7.5 million. The former production building spans 33,000 square feet on a 3-acre lot, with an additional 4 acres from neighboring properties. V20 plans to convert the property into a high-end warehouse for distribution, and one can only imagine the sort of WWE productions filmed at this location. This is just the latest major move for WWE, which parted Titan Towers in favor of its new global headquarters last year, as the company is all in on a change of scenery for its future. More from Dynamite, as Mariah May successfully defended her AEW Women's World title against Mina Shirakawa, ending the match with a Storm Zero for the win. There was a particularly painful-looking spot when the pair rolled out of the ring in a figure 4, and both women gave their all in what was the rightful main event given the story. After the match, Toni Storm made her long-awaited return in her old attire with her Watch What's Next theme, seemingly leaving her timeless persona in the past. This was a huge shock to the fans and Thunder Rosa, who was sat in the crowd and held a WTF sign to express her surprise with what had happened. Storm had been missing since AEW All-In London in August, where she lost the AEW Women's World title to May, and last month said she was retiring and that AEW was fine without her. Before announcing her so-called retirement, Storm had teased waiting until AEW Grand Slam Australia to face May for the title, so she can have the home field advantage. Whether AEW can wait until the February event before having a title match, time will tell, but Toni Storm is back and clearly has payback in mind. What did you think of Toni Storm's return? Are you pleased to see her back? And will you miss her time as the Timeless One? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. In our second Continental Classic match of the night, Brody King took on Ricochet, and as per the rules, neither man was allowed anyone at ringside. With that said, Ricochet flashed MVP's card during an interview, implying an alliance with the Hurt Syndicate has been established, or will be soon enough. King easily floored Ricochet when they locked up, leaving the High Flyer to rethink his strategy, but he immediately regretted trying for a chop. The look on Ricochet's face when King no-sold his chops was very funny, and King continued to dominate Ricochet during a commercial break. The High Flyer tried to make a comeback when he returned, but was dropped on his head with a German suplex, as this was as close to one-sided as any match of the night would get. King looked like an absolute beast, but when his head collided with an exposed turnbuckle, things drastically changed, and King quickly seemed like easy pickings for Ricochet. The one and only started getting some heel heat and won with the Spirit Gun, and if AEW wanted to end this segment with Ricochet being booed, they certainly succeeded. Highlights of the previous confrontation between Chris Jericho and Matt Cardona was showed ahead of their ROH World Championship match at Final Battle. Backstage, Cardona told Renee Paquette that he's always ready and belongs in AEW, and has spent the past 5 years on the independents reinventing himself. After Jericho and Brian Keith laid him out last week, Cardona wants Keith on Rampage to give Jericho a preview of what to expect at Final Battle. In a promo, FTR called out the Death Riders for this week's collision, saying they wanted to have a chat after last week when they had to prevent Moxley's attempted murder of Orange Cassidy. Toni Schiavone sat down with Darby Allin, who said his quest is never over, as the Death Riders are chipping away at everything that AEW has built. Allin spoke of Bryan Danielson being the backbone of AEW and punched himself in the face until he was bleeding to show that the violence didn't bother him. Allin said he needs to win in the Continental Classic, which he called everything that's right with AEW, in a passionate promo from the former TNT champion. AEW continued to hype the return of Bandido on this week's AEW Dynamite, as a vignette aired that continued the Western Most Wanted Man aesthetic of last week. In this week's video, Bandido can be seen riding into town on a horse as a group of men try to arrest him, only to be dispatched of by the AEW star. AEW is certainly committing to promoting Bandido, who has been out of action since June of last year due to a wrist injury, and we'll have to see how he fares when he's back in the ring. In a backstage segment, Renee Paquette spoke with Mercedes Mone and Anna Jay about their TBS title match next week. Mone, not knowing what state the show was in, was a funny moment, and the segment ended with Anna knowing she's the underdog, but saying she just needs 3 seconds to shock everyone. And that was this week's AEW Dynamite, and the Death Riders' attempts to take over was again a big focus, but thankfully not the only story that received the spotlight. The show still had time to focus on MJF vs. Cole, the Continental Classic, and the women's title main event, though match of the night would go to Ospreay vs. Castagnoli. With that said, there wasn't a single weak match on the card, as AEW has been using fewer squash matches as of late, leading to a more focused product overall. The only issue is that AEW is stretching itself thin, with every episode of 2024 left being billed as a special episode, in addition to a couple of upcoming pay-per-views. AEW has a lot of heavy lifting to do to make us care about every single storyline, but we can't ignore the increased effort to feature the women's division. AEW has the women's world title and TBS title feuds seeming equally important, but if you watch only one thing from this show, make sure to check out Ospreay vs. Castagnoli. Video game news now is WWE 2K25 will be the next game in that series, and PW Insider reports that 2K has begun filming a commercial for the new game. The shoot has been taking place in Florida, and while specific wrestlers weren't named, it's speculated that the Bloodline may have been a part of the shoot, given their high status in WWE. Last month, it was reported that development on the game is well underway, with motion capture already happening, but official updates aren't expected until next year. In the meantime, buzz will continue to grow for WWE 2K25, and what features are you hoping to see in the upcoming video game? Let us know down in the comments section below. And we're ending with Goldberg, and the moment that he announced that his final match will be in 2025, speculation grew that he'd be facing Gunther. After all, the pair teased something at Bad Blood, but according to Viper of PWN, WWE may have moved away from the story of these two facing off. The report adds that rather than one final match, Goldberg may wrestle 1 or 2 matches before finishing his career for good, though there's no word on who he'd face. But what do you think? Should Goldberg vs. Gunther happen, or is there a better opponent for the Hall of Famer? Share your thoughts down below.